Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to episode 9 of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. We are located in the secret basement studio, located in parts unknown. Of course, we have producer Grimy watching the front door. And of course, we have the man himself, or should I say magician, who can turn a regular hotel room into a penthouse suite on New Year's Eve. Benny, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. Yeah, that was a pretty epic hotel room we ended up getting there. So
yeah, I was thinking New Year's Eve is coming up, and I just thought of that. You know, we got that regular bunk hotel room just to drink at. Then the day of, what happened on the day of?
Yeah, we thought we were going into one of the worst rooms we ever rented, and it turned in, like you said, pretty close to a penthouse kind of suite. For what Winnipeg can offer downtown, but yeah, it was a pretty sweet room.
Yeah, it's like ceiling to floor windows on like one half of the room where you can see out to the city, and
all big windows out there front. Yeah, it was great,
bro. How you did that, I don't know.
Neither do I.
Yeah. How was your weekend though?
Yeah, it was good. Busy with some sports, hockey, and watching some football and all that. Great CFL playoffs over the weekend as well. So it was an exciting time.
That was a good Sunday. That was a good Sunday watching CFL action. I was also here looking at my golf clubs, man. I haven't swung that club in a month and I miss it. I need it, man. I miss golf. I don't know what to do with myself. Virtual golf.
Yeah, get out there.
I don't know.
How about some winter golf?
We'll see. Winter golf, like outside with the white balls.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's not. Change the color of the balls, though.
2 hours later, Ray, where are you? I'm on the hole. I'm first hole, bro. First hole, trying to find my shit.
Lost 18 balls.
Oh my goodness. We did talk about golf today, actually, and talking about Tiger Woods, and we will address that later on in the show. And we have a lot to look at, of course. We look at the NHL, the changes that are happening in Montreal. We have the NFL, upcoming matchups, a new segment called Ray and Benny Take on the Coin. Ray and Benny versus the Coin. We'll tell y'all what that's about. We're going to talk about the worrisome Winnipeg Jets. Is that okay to call them worrisome? Is that too much right now?
Yeah, I guess that's a nicer word, what you can call the Jets. I mean, you can call them a lot of things right now.
We'll go worrisome right now, Winnipeg Jets. But let's start off with those CFL playoffs this weekend. One very good game, one okay game, both very sloppy. Based on our predictions last week, you called both of them correctly, Hamilton and Saskatchewan. I thought Calgary pulled out the defense, and that defense went out the window in the second half. But we have these great rivalries, Hogtown, the Big Smoke, Winnipeg, Regina. Let's start off with your thoughts on the semifinals on Sunday.
Yeah, like you said, Calgary's D was playing pretty strong, and they came in there. I mean, they intercepted Cody Fajardo 4 times.
Yeah.
Usually when you look at that and go, ooh, QB 3-4 interception in this game, he probably lost, right? But totally. I don't know how Saskatchewan somehow came away with that victory. And Fajardo, 4 INTs, no touchdowns, 189 yards passing. You think that's not great. He did put 90 yards, though, on the ground and a touchdown, so that definitely helped. And I think they also, Powell there ran for another 90 yards or 80 or 90 yards, so that's definitely where they got their offense from. And, Calgary couldn't really muster a lot either on offense themselves. Bo Levi threw 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. How often do you say that where guys in the playoffs, and not being able to throw any at all. So, so that was definitely interesting. It could have definitely gone either way. I guess the home field advantage was enough for Saskatchewan to win that.
Just enough. Yeah,
just enough. Yeah. Hamilton over the Owls. Yeah, I expected that to kind of go that way, but I don't know. Is Kahari Jones in trouble there in Montreal? I mean, they've had a lot of open that few seasons to get into the playoffs, but really haven't been able to progress farther than that.
We'll clean up at the end of the year when we look at the teams with Kahari Jones. I think he's okay. It always depends on if Adams can stay healthy. They are a dangerous team when he's healthy, but without him, Trevor Harris is definitely not the answer, bro. And I'd say Kahari's might be in the hot seat next year. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Montreal, I would not get rid of him yet at all. I'd give him at least another season. I mean, he's still pretty new to this. He's taken Montreal to the playoffs. like you said, Vernon Adams has been hurt. He's been a lot better with Vernon Adams than with Harris. So
absolutely,
Hamilton's D just came out and put a stop to Montreal basically in that game. So Mazzoli didn't do a lot. Like that whole offense from Hamilton, their numbers and all that weren't great either. So that Hamilton D definitely played a big factor in that game.
Yeah, none of these offenses going into the finals are very hot, to be honest with you. The Bombers, they looked okay in the first half against Calgary, but they haven't really played meaningful football since that October 23rd game.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're not too rusty and they'll get into the groove. It might be a bit harder without Andrew Harris. But that Hamilton D looked tremendous. And it really just depends on which Bethel Thompson shows up. Is it the guy who throws 4 TDs, no picks, or is it the guy who throws 4 picks, no TD? But if the Hamilton defense comes out, I think that might not matter. They looked fierce against the Owls. And again, I know it's Trevor Harris, but we'll see. That'll be an interesting matchup. What are your thoughts on the Western final coming up? That's probably the biggest rivalry in the CFL right now. Battle of Alberta, sure, geographically, but in regards to competition and heated rivalry and fans, where do you see this West Final going?
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Obviously, Saskatchewan wants some revenge from the Doink from a couple seasons ago when they probably thought they were the favorites, and the Bombers went into Saskatchewan and took that game away from them. So yeah, if Winnipeg's can get back to what they were doing, like you said, their last main game in October there, and their D comes out strong, their offense just has to be good enough. And like they say, defense wins championships right now. So if the D can get back to where they were and play that dominant game, I think Winnipeg wins this game no problem. I mean, Fajardo just threw 4 interceptions against the Stamps. I'm going to say the Bombers D is better than the Stamps D. So
without a doubt,
if they can get at him, keep him in that pocket, contain Powell to limit his amount of yards they're going to get. And I think Winnipeg should roll in this game and roll back to the Grey Cup.
Yeah, I got a message from a Rider fan who will remain nameless right now, who said if he can't throw 4 picks against the Bomber defense and expect to win. That is not going to happen, and I agree. But I think you nailed it. Saskatchewan does have a chance if they can establish the running game. If they can win the line of scrimmage on both sides, I know it's a cliche, but if they can win the line of scrimmage and run the ball with Powell, and it looks like they've been working running plays with Fajardo, possibly looking towards the Bombers, that might be a problem. Because we did have issues with a running back like Steinbach who can really carry the ball and carry the load. And if they keep the game close, it's not for sure, obviously. CFL Playoffs is never for sure. But in the end, bro,
we should know that.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare say that year, brother. Keep that in the back of your mind.
I'm not going to. It's not coming up.
It should be an amazing time at IGF Field.
It'll be great.
They must be at 30,000 tickets already by now. Some Rider fans are going to come over. I hope they all have their vaccination check. Make sure you have your thing. You don't be disappointed, drive over here and not get in. But that is going to be a crazy environment, and I'm looking forward to it. Crazy on Labor Day, you think? I mean, Banjo Bowl?
Oh, for sure. The thing is, there's a lot of Rider fans that actually live in Manitoba too, right? So it's like once it's like, hey, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, let's go buy some tickets, right? Last I heard, I think there were just about 30,000 sold. So it's getting there. So, hopefully it's a decent day outside so we don't all get too cold. And hopefully after it, we're celebrating with the Bombers on their way back to another Grey Cup.
Yeah, I can't wait. Wait. And before we move forward, I'm just going to check myself on some stats I claimed last week. Chris Wabi did not play with Jeff Reinbold. His last season was in 1996 with Cal Murphy. And if you look back on it, he actually did not play that last game. He had like a season-ending injury the game before that and couldn't play in the final. So he was out in his last game. So sad.
No wonder we got Chris killed so bad.
I know. So let's tell me, who do you think will win the East and West final? I think we kind of hinted towards it, but who do you got winning?
Yeah, I got Hamilton winning, and I think it's kind of like what you mentioned, just McLeod Bethel Thompson there. I almost called him BLT. I like Toronto Hamilton D's. They're both pretty good, but I'll give Hamilton the edge at QB to do just enough to get Hamilton by Toronto, basically.
Yeah.
So I BLT, I still don't trust the guy.
I'm the same. I got
BLT,
Hamilton.
I said it again. MBT.
That's okay. Jeez. That's okay. BLTs are good too. BLTs are good too. Who do you got in the West final? I got the Bombers.
Yeah, Bombers for sure. And I think we didn't really touch on this too much. You did mention something before, but Andrew Harris, is he going to be there? Is he not going to be there? Him not there, I think, keeps his game probably closer than it should be. I'm not sure if Augustine will be able to carry the Bombers enough, like Harris can do sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I'm still picking the Bombers with or without Harris, but we definitely need him back.
Yeah, he does have that X factor of also a good receiving back. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. We know he won't be playing next game, though. It's not looking good. No, it's not looking good. Let's move on to our second favorite team or first favorite team, depending on how they're doing. The Winnipeg Jets having a tough time. A 5-game losing streak. Win in Calgary. Looks like something turned around, and then a 1-0 loss to the lowly Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes. What's going on in Jets land? I know you got to take on this. I'll just follow your lead, brother. I'll follow your lead.
Good God, what is happening there? That's the biggest question. That game against the Wild the other day was pretty wild, actually. Getting blown out 7-1.
Embarrassing
in that game, and really, the way the goals were scored on them, no one was helping Hellebuck out, and I wasn't surprised that Hellebuck was pissed off. And he came out and he showed it in that game against Calgary. He kept them in that game. He kept them at a close game, which allowed Connor to get that goal in the third period to bring them back to victory there. But without him playing that type of game, they probably lose that one, and they probably get smashed like they did the day before against the Wild.
Yeah.
And like you said, the loss to the Coyotes there. Jeez, outshooting them 46-15. So the chances are there, right? But I mean, you can't score on a goalie who was 1-9-1 coming into that game. This dude had only won one game. And his goals against are high. His save percentage wasn't too bad, but he's had games where really good games where he's letting a goal or two, or he's had games where he's letting 5 or 6. So you think you're shooting 46 shots, your chances are you're going to score, right? But I don't know. The quality of chances maybe aren't there or what they're hoping for, but they've scored 9 goals in the last 7 games.
Horrible.
They've only won 1 game, and they scored 4 of them in 1.
Yeah.
So 5 goals in 6 other games, right? Yeah.
Brutal.
Shut out twice in that stretch, but yeah, you know what? I can't even fully blame the coach on this one, besides him messing around with the lines again and changing them up. But where I will blame him, though, is that power play and that penalty kill. And
absolutely,
I think we'll touch on this. That power play is atrocious. Scored once in our last 23 attempts over these 7 games.
It's shameful. It's absolutely shameful, especially with what we had before. We know what we saw early in the month, like a month ago, early November, what they could do on the power play.
Yeah, it was number 2.
And what has happened? What has happened? Yeah. That's one that's puzzling me. What changes or psychology is happening there where all of a sudden power play fell apart? They can't score. They can't produce any offense because of this ever-changing lineups and the refusal of putting, I'm going to say it again, got to put those lines back together, 2 and 3. Those are your most consistent lines when you were winning, and then build around that. And again, I'll say it again, I do not care if the guy's making $8 million. Put him on the 4th line where he belongs. I could care less how much money. It's time to win, because this guy's getting really close to losing this team. Despite what Stastny and Wheeler said after the game, it's on us. Like, honestly, he's very close, I feel, to losing that room if this keeps going. There's inconsistency. I don't know, brother. I don't know. I agree with you. You can't put it on a little coaching, but there's still that. There's still that for me.
Oh, I totally agree on that one. I mean, most of my blame does go to Pomo, and like you say, it's Paul Maurice, we'll say, in case there. Like you say, it's the switching of lines. You had a pretty dominant line, pretty good line with PLD, Connor, Svechnikov. You take it apart to try and get Wheeler going. Okay, now you went back to Old Faithful and Wheeler, Connor, and Scheifele, because they can score together. Problem is, they usually also give up a lot of goals when they're playing together. So they end up being outscored anyway. So even if they score 6 goals in a week, they've gave up 8 possibly. So and their power play, like you say, it's awful. You got no one in that spot where Line used to be, that Ovechkin spot. That fear, that shot is gone, and that was their bread and butter before. And I believe Scheifele was playing there last year, but now he's more at the top of the net, looking for those one-timer passes from Wheeler. Why not get Scheifele back in that spot? Or get a guy, or even Connor, or get a guy in that spot that can tee it up, and put some fear into their goalie, the opposing goalies there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all I see of them is trying to throw that puck to the net and hoping for a quick tip or whatever there. So, yeah, that's got to be fixed up. And, and the penalty kill is another situation there. It's like, it's not working. Like,
no.
Why not try David Gustafsson is with the Moose in the AHL, who's actually done pretty well on the PK there. Why not call him up, see what he can do for a week or 5 to 10 games or something, and see if he can help shore up that penalty kill. It looks like Riley Nash has been out now. He's been healthy scratched. So maybe they've given up on him. So why not get the youngster Gustafsson in and then see what he can do there? And I mean, what does it hurt? The penalty kill sucks already right now. I don't think Gustafsson's going to be worse than Toninato as center on the fourth line.
Yeah, and put more speed out there. Put more speed out there on the penalty kill. That's the way it is now. It's not like back in the day where you're in a box and you just stand there and go left to right, a foot and a foot. You're looking to make mistakes from the other team. You can capitalize and get the puck out of your zone. So they put Ehlers and Connor out there. They will move. They'll go after guys. They got to fix that. That's what I blame on the coaching. I would like a lot of Jets Nation to calm the F down in regards to firing the coach after this particular game. Admittedly, they lost the Coyotes, but they had like 13 chances, 13 good high danger chances that they didn't capitalize on. They had more than Phoenix. And credit to that goalie. Credit to the goalie. Was it Vejmelka? Sorry, dude.
That's pretty good.
Exactly. I don't know. But 46 shots saved and another 16 were blocked before they even reached the net. So the Coyotes also played their ass off. And let's throw this in there as well. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, it's not just the one game that people want Pomo gone here or Palmer's gone. It's that's the Wild game, where they get trashed 7-1. You've said it before. A goalie makes a coach always look good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Cheveldayoff went and got some guys for the D. At some point, it's got to be stop relying on Helly to save our butts so we can win a game, right? They were doing that a little bit at the beginning of the year, but Helly was still playing pretty good in those games. And over this course of this week here, it's been mostly Helly keeping those games close that give the Jets a chance to actually win them. Mm-hmm. So it's time that Paul Maurice changes maybe up his defensive system, maybe fire a coach there or something that helps, in not getting all these high quality chances. Calgary had tons, like you say, of high danger chances. They had way more than Winnipeg did. So that's where Winnipeg's got to limit a bunch of those. And 16 shots against the Coyotes is pretty good, but it's also against the Coyotes. So
and there's that thing you mentioned, changing defensive systems. Well, right now they're in a kind of process of changing their system, apparently, where there is not much room between the forwards and the defensemen. So they're trying to play more team defense. Apparently, is that working? Man, I don't know. I've not seen enough tape. It worked last night in regards to chances, but that's the Coyotes, right? And there's an argument that with that new system, they aren't as offensively sharp. So how long do you give the system to work if it's actually happening? Because apparently you'd be the first time in 7 years that Maurice has actually tried a system change. So
if the Jets are out of the playoff race, or not out of the playoff race, but sitting outside the playoffs by January, I think that's it at this point. Do you go with the rest of the season with Paul Maurice as your coach if you're sitting outside? I mean, these guys were expected to be challenging for a top 3 spot in the division, right?
Yeah.
So if they're fighting for the playoffs come January, and say out, the expectations are a lot, or the where they are is a lot lower than the expectations from the beginning of the year, right? So it doesn't get easier this week. The goalies that they possibly could face this week. I mean, you got Mackenzie Blackwood possibly in New Jersey, who's done not too bad. Then you got Jack Campbell. Dude's at .946 save percentage. And then Carolina's Frederick Anderson right after that at .932. So if you can't score this week,
this is
especially
it here
against an Arizona goalie, how are we scoring next week or in the next 3 games here? So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And I'm going to take the same perspective like I did when Toronto was suffering. I'm going to try and take my Jets glasses off, and I'll give them a month. And that's pretty much the Olympic break. Let's see where they are at the Olympic break. Well, a month and a bit. And if they're not there, that's a good time. You have, 3 weeks? Bring in a guy, get them going. You probably won't have your number one goalie. You might not have your number one forward or so. But still, a guy to change the culture and bring in, maybe that's the proper time to do it.
Is Scheifele going to make Team Canada at this point?
I hope not. I hope not.
The way he's been playing this year, I don't see him.
Horrible.
It,
no, he's not a factor at all, bro.
So
put Stamkos in there. Never mind alternative, but just put him in.
Yeah,
put him in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's talk about an organization that is making or are making huge changes. The Montreal Canadiens. They have fired their GM and the bulk of his managerial and scouting staff. Molson, the owner, says he's ready for a rebuild. They're looking for candidates, and interestingly enough, 12:30 today, Patrick Waugh, he touchdown spike his name into the hat of candidates. I love that guy, so I'm loving that candidate. But what are your thoughts on Montreal and what's going on with that storied franchise?
Yeah, Patrick Waugh just tossed a grenade in there, basically get his name out there. Start the Montreal fans going crazy. All the French Canadian fans or French Canadians would love to have a GM there that's Patrick Waugh, speak bilingual and everything, right?
Absolutely,
and a past legend. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Like you say, Marc Bergevin was there for 9 years, but they kind of found in that time Montreal was always up and down. They'd have a really good year, and they're thinking, okay, next year they're contenders, and then they'd flop, right? And then they'd do it all over again and stuff like that. So, he would make some good moves, and then he would follow up with some bad moves. So, so far they've hired Jeff Gorton as their head of hockey operations, but that already caused a bit of an uproar because he doesn't know how to speak French at all. So, so now they've Molson's guaranteed the GM is going to be bilingual at least. So, having Patrick Waugh in there, that'd be interesting. But they got a lot of things to clean up on that roster though. And the thing is, they signed a bunch of veteran guys to long contracts. These veteran guys were expecting, hey, let's go in and we're going to win. Now you got to tell them, no, we're going to blow this all up and rebuild. Wow, how do you do that to these guys? And is anyone going to take on some of these contracts that they ended up signing? So that Stanley Cup run last year was probably the worst thing that probably happened to them. I mean, yes, it was exciting for the fans and all that stuff, but the team wasn't quite there yet. They got on a hot run. Price was playing well in the playoffs. They had that type of D that could play in the playoffs where they would basically play that trap, or they'd mug you like crazy because for some reason penalties don't get called in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? So they had that D that could beat you. I mean, we saw with Sherratt last year against the Jets. He'd cross-check someone 3 times. That Jet would retaliate once. Who goes to the box? The Jet player, right? Because Sherratt knew how to do it and get under people's skin, but that type of D doesn't work for a whole season. So it's a little bit tougher to play 80 games like that, right? So, and this year has shown that they were, they weren't able to keep that up at all.
Yeah, and I think Bergevin didn't appreciate the pieces that he had, and he let go. To be honest with you, I think he's like, the system did it. I can just plug and play, and we'll see what happens. And they're paying for it. And of course, he didn't expect Carey Price to have his problems. So but it's not a pass. They didn't do anything in the offseason to get better on what they built. So I'm all in for Patrick Waugh, man. I'm not even thinking of any candidates at this point. I love what he's saying. I love how he called out the previous regime for throwing he threw assistant GM under the bus. He said that Trevor Timmins was pretty much a piece of trash and he hurt Marc Bergevin. I love how honest he is. And of course, he's French Canadian. He's Quebecois. He represents the culture of the Montreal Canadiens that they want to return to. They're not looking for a culture change, a different kind of. No, they have culture there that they want to go back to, and that's the guy. That's the guy to do it.
I agree.
Let's talk about a guy who's kind of counterculture for a brief minute. I have not much to say about this clown, bro. We're going to talk about Brendan Lemieux and this kid biting people. You lead it, bro, because I've said almost everything I have to say. He's a clown. I'm glad we got rid of him. Man, he just wants to be his dad without the skill. That's it for me. I don't like this guy.
The funny thing is when he got traded out of Winnipeg, I was like, oh, shoot, why did they trade Lemieux, right? He's still young, see what he can do. But good God, I'm glad they included him in that deal because He actually, right before we started recording, it ended up getting a 5-game suspension out of biting Brady Kachuk there and making him bleed. But
It's been longer.
wow, yeah, I mean, this is what I think this is his third NHL suspension. He was suspended multiple times in junior hockey in the OHL, so
Yeah,
he's no stranger to boneheaded or dangerous plays. And like Brady called him, which I love this, called him a brickhead. That's exactly
absolutely.
what that's exactly what Brendan Lemieux is, and that's it's unfortunate. He only got 5 games. Give him more. Get him out of there. We don't that stuff's not needed, especially with kids watching these games right now.
Yeah, yeah. What a piece of trash. Useless.
It is
Not
indeed.
talented. Ugh, garbage. Let's talk about talented players then. Let's go to the Mount Rushmore segment. We're playing it up early because we're talking about NHL. Let's talk about an interesting one. This is a suggestion from a listener on NHL players drafted 4th round and above. We're going to put them on Mount Rushmore. So we have who we think individually the 4 best players drafted 4th round and later. Do you want to say who your 4 are first, or?
Sure, let's do it.
All right.
This is it's funny because when I started looking at this, I didn't realize how many players, how many great players there were that were drafted
Yeah,
past the
man.
4th round. And
Yeah.
some even into the 10th, 11th, 12th round when the NHL draft used to go like that, right? But that's crazy. My 4. It was tough because there's so many guys here that I could have picked from.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna go with Pavel Datsyuk as one of them.
Nice.
Then got to go with Brett Hall, who was a 6th rounder.
Gotcha.
Next would be Luke Robitaille, who was a 9th rounder.
Yeah, I was thinking about Luke too, bro.
And I had to go with Doug Gilmour, 7th rounder.
Yeah.
So those are my 4. I know there's one that you're taking that I probably would have thrown in there as well, but I figure I'd go with these ones. The other ones that I did not know that you were taking.
It's good, man. It's all the 4 that you picked. You can't go wrong. As a former Leaf fan, yes, I cheered for the Leafs when the Jets were gone. So, and what? Doug Gilmour has a special place in my heart. So I totally agree with that.
Actually, speaking of that, I was actually in those playoff runs. I was actually a big Doug Gilmour fan as well. So I kind of actually cheered or was hoping he would go far and Toronto would go far in those. So now that I look back at it, I'm glad they never ended up winning anything. Let them keep 1967. But I always liked Gilmour. Gilmour was a great player to watch.
Fair. Good picks. Good picks. Mine are Mark Recchi. He was a 4th rounder.
Nice.
22 years, man. 12th all time in scoring, 3 cups. Like, come on. I'll take him for sure. Another 4th.
Someone just tied him tonight, actually, for 12th all time.
And I was just looking at the stat. No way.
Yeah, I just saw that today too, and then someone just tied him. Who the heck was it? Anyways, go on. I'll look it up and
another 4th rounder. I got Nick Lindstrom. Arguably a top 3 defenseman of all time. 7 Norris trophies. Brett Hall, man, I went with you on that one. 6th rounder,
right
5th all time goals. Come on, who scores 86 goals in a season? That's ridiculous.
No, it is.
I have no idea how he dropped to the 6th round. No idea. And
he got traded.
One, yeah, and he got drafted in the 6th round after putting up like almost 200 points in 50-something games or 180. It's crazy. Anyways, the last one is Dominic Hasek, 10th rounder, 6-time Vezina winner. Just a shout out to an old Jet. Do you remember who he was traded for to go to Buffalo? He was traded for a 4th rounder and Stefan Beauregard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Beauregard.
Yeah, someone lost out on that.
Classic.
And shout out to some late Jets that were drafted. Nick Habibulin and Dustin Byfuglien, also late round picks. So there's your Mount Rushmore from the both of us. You still stat hunting, bro?
Yeah, I haven't found it yet. So
you got bad connection in this dome under here. Anyways, let's talk about NFL happenings. What's going on in the NFL? What's going on in Seattle? Russell Wilson should have gotten out when he wanted to get out, bro. He should have gotten out when he wanted to get out.
He wanted out, but they weren't going to get rid of him. And maybe Seattle should have gotten out when they had a chance to get out. And you had all these teams offering possible 3 first rounders this offseason, right? I guess they figured they had a good enough team to maybe make one more run for it and see what would happen. But You know, you should have got rid of him. Maybe it's and Wilson's not. He has blame in this as well because he has looked awful since coming back from that finger injury. So
Yeah.
unless he came back way too early, um, which he should have just chill out, man. Take your injury. It was a 4 to 6 week injury.
Yeah.
Wait till you were that. Geno Smith was actually not doing too bad, so he might have been able to help a little bit more in those few games. But yeah, maybe it's time to clean out, and maybe it's time for Pete Carroll to go. And I say that as a Niner fan, I would not be sad to see either of those guys go.
Yeah,
But
of course.
watch Niners Seattle this weekend, and Niners on a roll, Seattle not. Watch Seattle is going to end up winning that freaking game, and it's going to piss me off.
Sleeper special. That's a trap game right there. Trap game.
Every time, man. Every time. even earlier this year, it was like Niners were the better team, but for some reason they couldn't end up beating Seattle. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah, they're in a situation where they waited 1 year too late to blow it up. They should have gotten rid of Russell Wilson, get some chips for him, drafted, pretty much start all over because your defense is pretty much at ground zero. Your offensive line is at ground zero. So what are you trying to do? Russell Wilson is not going to take himself out of the game. This guy is used to putting this team on his back and winning. So, of course, he's going to think he's going to do it again. But sorry, bro, you don't have the tools to do it.
Well, the biggest thing he probably needs now is an O-line. As he gets older, his escapability is not there anymore, right? And he needs that O-line. If he goes somewhere and that gives him an O-line, if he goes to the Saints, maybe if they have a decent O-line, I mean, Peyton's did pretty good with Drew Brees there, right? Maybe give him an O-line and maybe things change around for him, but he can't do it anymore without this O-line helping him out. And then the best thing about this all is that their supposed best player on defense, Jamal Adams, the New York Jets is going to get Seattle's first round pick this year, which right now is a top 5 pick. It's number 5, I believe. So they don't even have a first rounder.
Gotcha, Seattle.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
That's the best.
We actually have a theme here going through NFL. We're talking about quarterbacks because next we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield, someone who is not at all like Russell Wilson. This guy is, ever since this I was about to say ODB, Odell Beckham Jr., and his dad got all crazy, and then his girlfriend got all crazy, and then he got mad at the fans for booing him. What's going on with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland? I don't think he's the answer. It's time to move on, I believe, brother. Time to move on.
Yeah, part of the problem is they got to sign him to a contract. So are you going to give him the standard QB contract that's always there when these things are up or what? But if he's actually as injured as he's coming out and saying he is, then for his own benefit, he's better off sitting out a couple games. Because you're not helping anything by proving, hey, I'm tough, but hey, I also can't throw footballs to open receivers.
Yeah.
You're not proving anything at all, right? You're looking bad. Him limping around after everything at the end of the game there, he's looking for Lamar to shake hands or whatever, and all you see him is just limping like crazy,
having a hard time.
And it's just like, but it's just like if you're that hurt, man, you're not helping your team at all, right? So maybe it's time to let Case Keenum come in there and just maybe even finish the season or play a few games and see. They got to bye this week, so we'll see. But yeah, you got, like you said, now you got Kareem Hunt's dad coming out and saying shit about Baker, and his wife's got to defend him on Instagram for stuff, and like you say, it's not going well there in Cleveland, which is too bad because it looked like they finally found someone. They finally found a QB. They'll get better and see where they go. But for right now, they're back to being the Browns.
Yeah. No, the thing is, you have a decent defense. You have a good O-line. You have a good running game. There's almost no excuse to not be a decent team at this point. They do something there. And I'm almost willing to look at the coach in this situation. I don't think he's one that's setting a culture of winning in Cleveland. I think he's just another Cleveland head coach in this cycle of bad coaches not having a good culture and not making good decisions. And if you're not going to protect your number one quarterback and say, "Oh, I'll let him play anyways," like what is that? What is that?
You got to help him out, right? I mean, so there is some blame there to the coach to continue to let Baker come out there and play. You're not helping him out. You're not helping your team out.
Yeah.
And like you said, like why are all these guys coming out now and saying stuff? So that culture is not that great in there. And even the run game, you have a pretty good O-line, and they barely ran the ball against the Ravens. And I know it was tough sledding, and the Ravens were ready to stop it, but you're supposed to have a pretty good O-line and a few good running backs. Use the strength of your team.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's move on to another quarterback that's having a hard time. Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. I asked you for a hot minute so I can take a dump on my team. What a joke this is. A storied franchise like Pittsburgh losing to the Bengals. Not. I'm just saying not the Bengals franchise. Just losing to a team twice by a lot. What is that?
Yeah.
They do not have the chips. They got to get rid of this GM, bro. He's been drafting horribly for the past 4 or 5 years. Has not replaced. You talk about Russell Wilson not being mobile, and Ben cannot even move anywhere within the pocket, and he has no protection. It's an absolute joke and a sad state of affairs with a storied franchise like the Steelers. Feel free to join me on jumping and pooping on this team, brother. Feel free.
Yeah, I think we kind of mentioned something last week that their wins were all close, right? They were only by a few points, and now you're seeing, a better team come in, and Bengals whooped them. Like you say, they whooped them twice this year, which I don't know when was the last time you could ever say that?
Never.
I mean, really, I've never probably in all that time I've known you seen you this angry over the Steelers being this bad. So
it's horrible.
Ben's time is up. Maybe it's a Russell Wilson thing too. If he had a better O-line, maybe it would have been fine. He's shown he can actually play decent games this year and put up some good points and yardage and touchdowns. But when it goes bad, it goes bad.
There's no running game.
And that's it. Najee Harris can only do so much if the O-line's not blocking anymore. They're missing a bunch of guys on D. Now TJ Watt is out with COVID. So, it doesn't look like it's going to end up any better for them as the season goes on here. So, but if you're firing the GM, are you firing the coach?
Oh, GM without a shadow of a doubt. Of course, the coach has some say about who you draft, but this has been horrible. You've seen this O-line getting old and getting injured for the past 5-6 years and have done nothing about it. Using third rounded on reaches for O-line. Give me a break. Get this guy out of here. It's time to rebuild this team, and Kevin Colbert is not one to rebuild a team. He inherited greatness, and he kind of, rode on that. So give me a break. Let's go to the new segment, Ray and Benny versus the coin. We have producer Grammy flipping a coin. The idea is we're going to take our chances since this season's been so crazy, and we're going to make some predictions on games, and we're going to see if we can beat out a coin. You think we can beat out a coin, bro?
Probably not.
So with that optimism, let's go to the first game, Cowboys and Saints, Thursday night. Who do you got on that one?
I am going to take the Cowboys in that one.
The Cowboys. I will also take the Cowboys. And now, the flip of a coin, heads is home, tails is visitors. Who do we got? Heads. Home. Who's home, Bernard?
That is the Saints.
Oh, we already got one versus the coin. We'll see. We'll see. Second game, we have Chargers, Bengals. I have the Cincinnati Bengals in this one because they are the home team. That's pretty much the reason why I'm taking them. What do you got in this, bro?
I went to Chargers.
Oh, flip that coin, producer Grammy. Let's see who the coin agrees with.
Oh,
the Chargers. All right. Next, we have the Patriots against the Bills. I'm taking the best team in the AFC right now, the Patriots.
I'm taking the team that was supposed to be the best team in the AFC right now, in Buffalo, just because it is in Buffalo.
Oh, what's the coin say? Producer Grimy.
Oh.
Visitors on this one.
Pats.
All right. Coin and me. Last matchup, we have Broncos, Chiefs in Kansas City. Yes, I'll take the Chiefs. Primetime.
I will agree with you on that one. I'll take the Chiefs as well.
All right. Producer Grammy, what does the coin say?
Oh.
Tails. Okay.
Broncos.
Okay. So we will check back next week, see how we're doing with Ray and Benny versus the coin, and we'll have more predictions that week. And we'll see come the end of the season who's a better predictor, Ray, Benny, or a coin. All right.
It's a quarter.
A lucky quarter. I talk about golf clubs and me missing golf and stuff. And today, earlier on, just as we were talking about the podcast, Tiger Woods had a press conference. Not earlier today. We were talking earlier today. And he's decided to not play full time. He can't do it anymore, especially after his brutal car accident in February, where unfortunately he won't be full-time Tiger anymore. And obviously we've lost a legend. Thoughts on that, brother?
Yeah, it's actually it almost seemed like a long time coming, even before the accident. He was just having a lot of issues with his back, and even tons of injuries where he didn't even play for years, right? Or he'd come back and play one tournament, and then he'd be gone again for a little while. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, he said he's going to do maybe 1-2 events a year.
Mm-hmm.
What is he at? He's at 15 majors, I think, right? And
I think so.
The record is 18 or something like that.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
There's still time.
Doesn't look like there is time, but those are grueling courses. They're grueling, 3-4 days or whatever it is for golf. So yeah, it's too bad because you know what, could have been the best ever. I mean, I guess there's an argument for him still being in there a bit, but
for sure,
the injuries and his infidelities took over, and we'll never know how good he could have been. So maybe now his son will end up beating.
Those videos are crazy, bro. Those videos watching his kid play, it's like he's better than me for sure. I can't even hold a flame to the kid. He's like halfway to a 400, and I'm like, whatever.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he's a legend, probably the greatest golfer of our generation that we saw from beginning to the end. And it was scary hearing him say that, like, him actually living with a prosthetic leg, losing his leg was on the table. That option was there. That's how crushed his leg was. And like you said, we kind of felt that his career was coming to an end anyways. It's kind of like a symbolic thing, almost maybe for him to say, yo, I'm done. He had to say it, put it out there almost for him to accept it, that it is done.
I'm pretty sure it's hard to do that after the amount of time that he spent on golf since he was a kid too, right? It's hard to just stop doing that all of a sudden.
And being so dominant. So sad to hear Tiger say it out loud and comes to term with it. We'll wish all the crazy fanfare and wearing of the red on Sunday, and his amazing play. Amazing athlete. One of the top 4 I've seen in my lifetime. Top 5 for sure.
He was pretty damn good.
Yeah. Let's go to some of our listeners' favorite segment, Eat That Hot Dog, where we reward some sports happenings, some great athletes, some great accomplishments going on in the sports world. I'm going to give my first hot dog to Chris Streveler. Of course, Bomber Nation wanted him to come back, but props to him for getting on a roster. That's always a player's dream, to play in the big leagues, and he's on the Ravens in a practice roster, keeping his foot in the door for the NFL. So, Streveler, you get a hot dog, an IG Field hot dog from me.
Well, I'm gonna stick to IG Field then as well too here. I was gonna do these separately, but I think I'm just gonna combine them as they both pertain to the same thing. First off, I'm just gonna give a shout out, or a hot dog, to the 15 Bombers that were named to the West Division All-Star team.
15.
That's amazing. I'm not gonna sit here and name them all. You guys can all go look them up and see, but the fact that there was 15 of them is crazy.
Yeah.
So a hot dog for them. And then also to the West Division nominees for most outstanding player, Zach Collaros, most outstanding defensive player, Adam Bighill, offensive lineman Stanley Bryant, and Coach O'Shea. A nice IGF hot dog for them, and good luck on Sunday.
Yeah, man, you're going to be excited for defensive fifth. I'm going to be there at 1:30 at the outdoor stage. You're going to be there having them $5 pops, eating them cheap hot dogs for $3. I can't wait. I'm going to give out one more hot dog to Brandon, Manitoba's own Leah Hextall. She's been doing a couple Jets games. I've heard her doing some Anaheim games. Historic as a first woman to consistently be doing it and be doing nationally televised broadcasts. So shout out to Manitoba's own, the Keystone Cities. Brandon, for y'all who didn't know that, Leah Hextall. And before we go, shout out, of course, the team, Jennifer Jones, heading to the 2022 Olympics. They defeated another Manitoban, Tracy Fleury from the East St. Paul Ring. So congrats to Jennifer Jones, Dawn McEwen, Jocelyn Peterman, Caitlin Laws, and of course, Lisa Weigel. All the best in Beijing. Be safe. Any shout outs from you, brother?
Yeah, one shout out to the legend, Bob Knuckles Irving, who is going to be calling his last Bomber game on Sunday. It's going to be a sad one. It's going to be we're going to be at the stadium for sure, but I almost want to hear his voice calling those plays a little bit. They should maybe play that on the loudspeaker there in the stadium. A few plays.
For sure.
But yeah, shout out to Bob Knuckles Irving on his last game, and it's been great listening to you, man.
Yeah, I'll give him a standing go right here, right now. I might actually bring my iPhone, bro. I might bring my iPhone and headphones and listen to Bob Irving do that last game. Thanks for the idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
He's a legend. I'm going to miss him so much. Now you're going to make me cry. What do you got to say to the people, Benny?
You know what? Have a good week. Stay warm out there. If you haven't, let's fill up that field on Sunday and make it nice and loud for those riders and help the Bomber D pick off Fajardo like crazy.
Let's go, Bombers. I can't wait. And of course, in the legendary words of Mike Singletary, it is more about them than it is about the team. Cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. Go, Bombers, go.
Go, Bombers.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, both at Ray Benny Sports. Follow us, like us, send us some comments, tell us what you think.